Yo boys, back with another video. Today we're doing a good old-fashioned 2v2 tier list, and it seems you guys enjoy these, so I just keep posting them, especially when I'm leveling on my characters and I don't have my rogue 80, so I can do another guide. So for now, for the meantime, hopefully there's another build that's good, so I'll make another guide, and we'll go back to the actual gameplay, because obviously we're still trying to push solo shovel, blitz, arena, so we will have some rogue content soon, and we'll have other content, so keep in mind, just bear with me. Um, First off, this is not based off facts, but this is kind of based off of who's higher and stuff like that. You'll notice that some classes are better than others, obviously. And I put the S tier in the S tier doesn't mean that one spec's necessarily better than the other one. It just means they're both similar. Like, for example, Arms Warrior and BM Hunter. BM Hunter is probably going to be better overall, and it's probably better than Arms Warrior. But at the same time, they're both similar. They're both considered S tier specs, but they're just super similar to each other. So just keep that in mind. If you're interested in coaching or carries, make sure you PM me on my personal Discord down below, which is just Xvic. Otherwise, let's get on with the video. Now, we're going to be starting off first with Warrior. Arms Warrior is going to be a flat S tier. After its buffs, it's um I don't know what the ability called. It's like I don't know what it's called. It's like it's a cast time and they do like 4 million damage in 1 or 2 seconds. It's pretty insane on top of their actual burst that they have. And right now I'd say Arms is in the best spot it's been in a while, to be honest. It's usually Fury Warrior that was good. So it's nice that there's a little change in the scenes. Fury Warrior is not doing so hot right now, honestly. I think it's viable in the sense if you're the best, but overall I think it's trash. After its nerfs, the problem with Fury Warrior is it doesn't do consistent damage. It really just doesn't. Like, it does burst damage, but then off your burst, you're just not able to do anything. It's nowhere near Arms, or I wouldn't even say it's viable in the sense of, like, once you hit high rating, you're just going to get absolutely pummeled. So, next one that we're going to be going over is going to be Druid. Pharaoh Druid's easily going to be S tier, and that's kind of a no-brainer. Pharaoh Druids, Warriors, stuff like that, they're just the top dogs of that bracket, and they just do so much unhealable damage. And honestly, if I had to put one that was better, I would probably say overall Warrior's better because the MS is a lot stronger on a Warrior. The sharpen, not only the sharpen, but just overall, I think it's better. I think Pharaoh's nice for CC, but like when you're playing with a healer, you don't have to worry about CC as a warrior. You're just trying to damp. Warrior's a dampener. That's why it makes it better in 2v2 arena. But that's that. Boomy. After all of the buffs, I still don't think it's viable in twos. Uh, again, that's just how casters are in arena. Unless they're insanely broken and it's like an Affliction Warlock, they don't really stand a chance, or like a BM Hunter. Boomy, they do a ton of bursts and they do a ton of damage, but I'll never see them being viable in twos because it's just the dampening racks up way too fast and they're not going to be able to survive and they're just going to get out damped because they don't have MS. So, unlucky. And honestly, I would say Fury Warrior is better just because it has a lot better MS. Even though it's not anywhere close to damage. Though, like, Fury does no damage versus Boomy does unhealable damage. But that's pretty much that. Resto Druid is going to be our first S tier healer. It's in 2v2 arena. Resto Druid, almost 90% of the time, it's going to be an S tier spec. Now, it may get countered by, like, Presevokers, but it's the fact that you can do so much stuff. You can literally, you're getting free drinks, and all twos it's a dampener. That's all it is. The higher dampen you can go, is the better in 2v2 arena. So it kind of sucks that twos aren't even irrelevant. Like, they don't have any good titles, or they don't have a gladiator version. They don't have a rank 1 title. They can do so much for twos to make it fun, but it's literally been the most boring bracket, and nobody wants to push in it because you don't get any rewards from it. It's like pointless. But Resto is pretty insane in twos. It's kind of, you only have really 3 healers to pick, and this one's definitely not the best. You'll see the best. So maybe right now I'll put it at A tier, maybe. No, I'll put it at S. It's going to be a low S for now. Next one that we're going to be going with is going to be Priest. This Priest is going to be your secondary S tier spec. It's doing pretty good. Obviously, its utility, its damage, and its, everything, and it also works well with Feral Druid. You're just getting a bunch of damage. BM disc, Feral disc. It's just you're getting a ton of damage, a ton of CC, and PI obviously. So disc priest is going to be coming in handy, and that's pretty much that. SP is going to be an A tier spec. You're kind of like an Affliction Warlock with CC, so kind of you're like a subish Assassination Rogue, something like that. They do a lot of damage, and they're definitely up there. They can definitely win games right now. I know they did get nerfed a little bit ago, but I still think they're really good. Definitely better than Boomy, by far. Because next one, and I'm not saying in general, I'm saying in 2v2 arena, this is better. Obviously, I think Boomy's a lot more. It's like one of the most broken casters, other than like Affliction and BM. And yeah, I'd say that. So the next one that we're going to be going with is going to be Holy Priest, which is going to be terrible. Again, a healer without defensive cooldowns for their teammates will never be good. It's not possible to heal through the amount of damage that people can put out. So until Holy Priest either gets the most insane healing of all time, or they give him like an Iron Bark or something like PS, give them two PSs. Just give them something where they have some cooldowns. Like this wasn't a problem in Shadowlands because they had the healing and they also did a lot of damage, but they do no damage and they do no healing. But that's pretty much that. Next one that we're going to be going over is going to be Mage. Frost Mage is going to be an A tier spec. The only comp you can play with this is maybe Priest Mage or Mage Rogue, and I'd say probably Priest Mage. You'll just get snapped. I don't see it ever being like it's good, but it's also not. It's only good versus melee, but like once you face a good team, you're just gonna get pummeled. They just line on your burst, and then that's pretty much all there is to it. But that's pretty much that. It is still viable, and it's definitely better than SP, but that's all there really is to it. It's just Rogue Mage and Rogue Priest are the only comps you can play. Next one that we're going to be going over is going to be Fire Mage, which is going to be terrible. Absolutely terrible. Unplayable. Literally unplayable. It's unfortunate. You hate to see it, but Blizzard doesn't buff classes that need buff. They just watch them buff BM Hunter again or something, or Warlocks, or even H Mouse. Next one that we're going to be over is Arcane, which I think is also not viable in twos. It's playable, sure, if you're the best, but otherwise it's trash. And I'd only put it above Boomy, and yeah, I'd only put it above Boomy because it works so well with Rogue Mage, and you could still make it work, but it's just not gonna be good. So next one that we're gonna be going over is going to be DK, Frost DK, which is going to be again not that very good. I'd say it's the second. I just don't think these casters just have like the melees are still strong. Like Frost DK does a ton of burst, Fury can do a ton of burst, but otherwise that's pretty much all they have. And burst reliant specs don't do good in a PvE season like this one, and that's just how it is. So that's pretty much that. Unholy DK is going to be A tier. Right now I'd say it's definitely in front of Frost Mage and SP, because obviously it's Unholy DK. They still do a ton of damage. They're just more of a rot spec. And the only reason DKs are not that good right now is because Warriors counter DK. Like if you face an Arms Warrior as a DK, you're probably gonna lose. So you can't like, and there's so many Arms Warriors that it's just not even a thing. I'm gonna see if I can turn that off. Okay. So next one that we're going to be going on is going to be, I'm put Blood DK here, tank here. Let's go with the Warlock. Affliction Warlock is going to be A tier. Actually, honestly, I would say it's the best in the A tier right now. It just does a ton of damage. Like it does unhealable damage. Obviously, if you face a melees, the melees control only in 2v2 arena. They're the only time melees can actually be like thrive right now is in 2v2 arena, because that's just how it goes. But now we have Destro Warlock. Destro, I even after the buffs, it has to cast too much. It's playable, but it's not going to be that good. Um, Maybe you could put a high A, but putting it at A would mean it's actually like you see them. I've seen like one Destro Warlock at 1400. I'd say they're probably in front of Frost DK, but behind Fury Warrior. Just because Fury Warrior, it's such an easy spec that does a lot of burst. It just doesn't have consistency. And then Warlock, you have to be really good to. You don't even have to be really good. You just need to know how to like get precog and Chaos Bolt and click Fear. But I still don't think it's that good. It is good in everything else, but I just think in twos, it's just casters are gonna get you're gonna get blown by melee, and you're just gonna have a rough time versus the other casters that can just put bleed dump on you and you're dead. Demon Warlock, it's gonna be the same thing, honestly, and I'd say it's not good. Again, I would put it in front of everything else, other than Destro does a ton of burst, Fury Warrior does a ton of damage. Demon Warlock's that spec. It's kind of like a sub rogue. You're just there to stun. That's it. And obviously you can't play double DPS, so you're just gonna get outdamped by any other of these specs right here. It's not gonna be very fun, and that's just how it goes. And honestly, if I had to put Boomy somewhere in this list, I would put it behind Destro. Only because after the buffs, it's still like playable. Even though in 2v2, I've never faced a Boomy in 2v2 arena at all. Next is going to be a Shaman. Resto Shaman. It's going to be an A tier spec, still viable. Good thing about Resto Shaman is it has grounding that can counter a lot of these casters that you might face, but even then, it's still not the best. Its healing is pretty okay, but you know, it's just it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like I don't know. I don't know if it was I think it was Dragonflight season 1 where Resto Shaman was actually insane. You literally just spam totem and then riptided the entire game. I actually like that playstyle for Resto Shaman, but it hasn't been good ever since then. So nobody's really played it. Elemental Shaman. Um, so Elemental Shaman is a weird one. I'd say it's actually viable in twos, but I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's A tier. That's about it. Uh, again, it doesn't really have a stun, and I mean, you could say their totem is a stun, but or their lasso, but then they can't do the rotation. They do a ton of burst still, and they're viable in a sense because they don't the only thing they don't have to cast, and they're doing a ton of damage, and they're also tanky. So I'd say they're still viable, but they're definitely not as good as the melee. That's for sure. Next one's going to be Enhancement Shaman, which is obviously not going to be very good. If I had to put Enhancement somewhere though, I would probably put it at the top of the list for B. It does a ton of burst damage. Enhance, I'd say it's like not only does it do a ton of burst damage, but you know it does so much damage on its burst where it's actually able to keep up with everyone else usually. So it definitely does damage. It dies kind of quick. Or no, let me rephrase this. It gets out dampened because it doesn't really have huge MS as these other classes, and it also doesn't have consistency. It's just a burst spec class, kind of like Feral Druid, except on Feral's burst, they have it for 30 seconds, 25 seconds. Enhancements have it for like 8 to 10 seconds or something. It's like a few rotation will go. That's pretty much that. Next is going to be Ret Paladin, which I have played with the Ret Paladin. If you are a fully geared Ret Paladin, you're probably above everything in A tier right now. I think Ret Paladin is actually doing in 2v2 arena. It's actually not bad. If you play with best in slot, you're top in charts almost every game. It's very rare that I played with one of my friends that has like half geared Ret, and he was literally doing he did a lot of damage. So if you have full best in slot and you have everything, it's not a bad option. You can definitely make it work, and I'd say it's better than these other ones because it has the burst damage needed to actually like, especially once it has enough burst. And obviously it's forbearance. Paladins have that now, and then obviously lay on hands. Just your utility alone, you're gonna out dampen a lot. So next is going to be H-Pal. H-Pal is going to be an S tier spec. We're going to actually switch Wrestler down. And well, that's what we're going to do. So H-Pal is going to be your number one healer. Maybe not. Let me rephrase this. Right now it's your number one healer in 2v2 Arena. The only reason it's not your number one in 2v2 Arena is very simple. It does no damage. Why would you want an H-Pal when you could have a disc or a Prez Evoker? It would just, they're in a total different category, which honestly, For right now, I'll put Discrease behind only because H-Pal has a lot of CC and it has a lot of utility. And that's really what you want in 2v2 Arena is utility and healing. So, and H-Pal has that. So, Prop Paladin, which is actually viable in 2v2 Arena, I would say right now, if I had to put it somewhere, this is what I would put it at. I don't know if you guys have faced a Prop Paladin, but they do a ton of healing. Like, they do more healing than any healer I've ever seen. Obviously, they're not going to do a ton of damage, but it's basically like a Prop Paladin. It's basically like BFA Prop Paladin. I'd say it's better than all these other specs due to the fact that it's healing. Now, this is like a rare occurrence, so you can cancel this off unless you're facing it. But they're kind of all similar. They're all just trash. These are all really just the only ones that playable really is Enhancement Shaman and maybe Prot Tank if you make it work. These three you can make everything work. I'm just saying overall wise, I don't think any of them are that good in twos. Like you're gonna get stomped by A's and S tiers. So the next one that we're gonna be going over is going to be kind of get sidetracked. Presovoker. So Presovoker, pretty good, and I would say it's the number one spec. Also based off of who's the highest rating, we've seen Presovokers are actually doing really good. So if you're looking to play one of these three healers, these are probably the only healers you've faced, and you maybe face an occasional Resto Druid and maybe maybe a Resto Shaman, but these are more than likely the healers that you're facing every go. Mainly H-Pals like under 1800, but then over you start facing some Disc and Presovokers. Next one that we're going to be going over is going to be Dev Evoker. So Dev Evoker was in a weird spot to where it can be good, and I would say if I had to put it somewhere behind Ellie, I still think Ellie's insane. Maybe not though. It's kind of weird where to put Ellie. I'm gonna put Ellie above only because it's just you don't have to cast, and it still does a ton of burst. I still think it's good. I mean, I've seen quite a few of them still, so I know people are playing them. Is it insane high rated? Probably not. I'd say once you get past this here, so DK, Frost, SP, Ellie, and Dev, these are more the low end tier of A tier. So keep that in mind. However, they do a ton of burst, and they basically have everything they would want. That makes them good enough to be A tier. Next bet that we're going to be going over is going to be AUG, which is going to be trash. If I had to put in an arena spot, it would be the worst spec in arena. That's how bad. We don't have to talk any more about that spec. Next one, Mistweaver. I'd say Mistweaver is actually better than Restored. I've actually seen more Mistweavers. Surprisingly, more people play Mistweaver than Restored. I truly believe, or what did I just say? More people play Mistweaver than Restored. I think I said that, but my mind's going blank. You just don't see Restorads anymore. They're like extinct. Not only do they die insanely fast, but their haunts just get purged in a global. So it's like you're never getting healing. You're never just able to heal. They're just getting spam purged. On top of that, you're not doing any damage, and you can't ever go out to clone because you just die in a global. So unlucky. It's still viable because it's a dampener. So that's the only reason. Mistweaver is also not, these are only two secondary healers you can play really. Next one, Windwalker. Windwalker right now is actually doing pretty good, and honestly, I'd say it's better than Rhett. I'd say it's the highest A tier that I have. It's almost S tier in 2v2 Arena. It does a ton of burst damage. Obviously, it has its time where it's not very good. It really depends on what you're facing. But overall, I think Windwalker is actually really good. You have damage now, and it's not looking that bad. You're definitely better than most of the specs in A tier. Obviously, Affliction Warlock and Ret Paladin are close up, and honestly, I would probably put it like this. I think Affliction is probably better than Ret. I don't really run in the Rets if I'm being honest. Even though I played with one, I know it's okay, but if nobody's playing it, then I can probably see why. Next one is going to be Hunter. Hunter. Going to be trash, horrendous. I would say Yeah, I just believe MM Hunters is garbage. I haven't seen a single MM Hunter almost ever. If I had to put this somewhere, it would probably be behind Destro. I've never faced a Boomy. I've only faced one Demo Warlock. I've never faced a Frost. I've never faced these classes. So I can't really say exactly where they are, but as of now, I think Destro's probably better. I think Fury Warrior's probably better, and Enhance are all better than MM. Next, Survival Hunter, which is actually kind of viable. Um, if I had to put Survival somewhere, and I had to truly put it somewhere, hmm. So it does damage, way more damage than I thought it would do. So where do we want to put it? Is it better than Shadow Priest? Okay, I'd say yes. Is it better than Frost Mage? Yes. Elite Devil Crew. Okay, I think that makes sense. I think they do enough damage to deserve at least behind DK. I think it does miss out on burst damage, but it does have a lot. It still has. It can keep up with damage. It has CC, and it works well with other healers. So I think altogether in twos, it's actually not bad. Better than I thought, to be honest. Outlaw, or what do we know now? BM Hunter is going to be S tier. That's a no-brainer. And this can be argued, but if I had to guess, right now after the nerf, this is kind of a hard choice, to be honest. I think BM is insane still, but Arms Warrior are literally doing unhealable damage. And they're tanks. BM Hunters like can die, but I still think BM's probably better for now. I think BM's even after the nerfs, BM's are just the best. I still face Arms Warriors, but I face 10 times the BM Hunters because it's just so much easier playstyle. You just lay back, and I'm putting everything I can together here, so I'll put BM in front. You guys can argue about this. Is Arms better than BM? Probably right now, but there's certain situations where BM's gonna win. The next one that we're going to go over is going to be DH. After everything I've seen, I don't think it's that good. I think it's probably the best in the B tier just because it's 2v2 arena and you can make it work, but I don't think it's very good. Uh, in solo shuffle when you're hitting three people at a time, it's different. Or they're always two stacking, but you never if they don't two stack, then DH is not gonna be able to. You're not gonna kill them. Like you don't have the burst damage needed right now. I'd say DH needs like a 6 to 7% buff on every ability right now to be viable, like how it used to be. Or even yeah, I'd say about 6% on every ability. Next one that we're gonna be going over is going to be Outlaw Rogue, which is actually not doing very bad in twos. I'd say it's not the best, but it's also not the worst. Um, it would probably be I haven't faced a single outlaw rogue, but I have a feeling based off what I've watched that it's actually not bad. I yeah, it's kind of hard to put outlaw somewhere to be honest. I'm gonna put it behind. I'm gonna put it behind Ellie and in front of Dev only because it's a rogue, and they're doing okay damage now. I still think they're viable, and that's the only reason they're being an A tier. You still get CC, you still have okay damage. It's the best rogue spec right now, even though they're all kind of meh. But that's pretty much that. Sub rogue, right now, currently, your only comp is Frost Mage Rogue. Um, yeah, it's kind of hard to put or sub rogue somewhere. I honestly, personally, think it's terrible. Like you'll never lose to a like only the best of the best are gonna win with sub rogue. Mm, I'm gonna put it low A, but actually I'll put it right here. Still think it's viable, only due to the sense that if you play it really good, you can make it work. I guess that's with every spec, but at least sub rogue, it it has enough CC to make it good in twos. Its damage sucks, but it does enough CC to make Frost Mage Rogue okay. And then we have Assassination Rogue, which is going to be better than Sub, but worse than Outlaw. I think Assass just doesn't have the damage to finish kill. It does have that one talent, but like, what are the odds that you're going to get them low if they just click one button on your burst? Probably not ever until like 80% damp. It's still viable in the sense of dampening, but they're very low. I'd say they're not good at all. Like that, you don't ever face a rogue spec unless it's rogue mage at like 1600. So that's pretty much all there is to it. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get that 6K subs, but it's been X, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good rest of your day or night. Peace, peace.